Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Yellowbird Hotline, the podcast where your favorite hot sauce company answers questions from our customers that we are not qualified to answer.
We didn't even go to school.
We did too. We went to school. You can get your questions answered on the podcast by calling 855-700-BIRD. That's 855-700-BIRD. Kelsey, you can also text that number too, right? We added texting.
We did.
So,
please text at your own risk.
Text at your own risk. You can text us at night when you're drunk. Mm-hmm. Our new slogan for 2021 is you don't have to drunk text a hot sauce company, but if you do, make it Yellowbird.
Carrier charges might apply.
We have a super special surprise for you guys this week. We have a special guest with us. She needs no introduction. I'm going to give her one anyway, though. She's a news anchor here in Texas. She's a yoga instructor. She is a delightful follow on Twitter. You can follow her at LeAnn Wallace, and her name is LeAnn Wallace. Welcome,
oh my God,
LeAnn.
Hi. Yay. Thank you so much for having me.
We are very happy to have you.
Long-time listener, first-time listener with you.
Participator, first-time talker.
Hi.
I think it's funny that I follow LeAnn on Twitter, and I just sent her a message and was like, "Hey, do you want to be on a podcast?" And she was like, "Okay."
It took me a month. To say okay. It's that blue check mark life. You can take your time, you know.
Oh yeah, you got. Yeah, LeAnn has the blue check mark. I should let everybody know. She's a verified LeAnn. How long did it take you to get verified?
I mean, like a matter of days.
Oh, well, you're like a reporter / celebrity, right?
Slash, I don't even know. I mean, I feel like they give out check marks willy-nilly sometimes.
Do we have a check mark? We don't have a check mark.
They don't give it out willy-nilly too.
Oh, really?
Denied. No.
At the time of recording, no, but I hope.
We are recording this. I should mention this will be our last recording in 2020. So happy New Year, everybody.
Woohoo.
We did it.
It'll be 2021 by the time this gets released. LeAnn, you moved here in 2012 to Austin, right?
I did. I'm OG basically at this point.
Oh yeah, that's when me and Aaron moved here too. So we got here at the same time.
Oh my gosh, we're like twins, triplets.
We're basically all twins.
It's when Rainy Street was a street with houses.
Yeah.
I remember that. Ooh. Yeah, that was a crazy time.
I liked it like that. Yeah.
It was nice. Do you guys remember Geraldine, the bird that used to run Rainy Street?
And then they named that bar Geraldine's, and I was like, yes. You know the truth.
Exactly. In her memory. Yeah, big development in Austin, killed Geraldine. But anyway, that's for the true original Austinites know that.
Like going there for the real Luster Pearl was there, and like we moved away. Like we moved away in 2013, and when we came back, Luster Pearl wasn't there anymore. And I was like,
well, because you live so far north, I don't think you ever came back.
That's cute. Oh man, yeah, that 5'9" life.
Well, you're also a yoga instructor, though. Tell me about this part of your life.
You know, like news gives me crippling anxiety, and I do the news for a living. And so I just like love doing yoga. It's a good workout. It's a good meditation. I also get to like guide people spiritually, which is probably weird for them, but totally normal for me. No, I mean, I like it, you know.
But you also, I also didn't mention, but you also sometimes do stand-up comedy too.
I dabble. I mean, I feel bad for people who are in the comedy business because the clubs are pretty much shut down unless you have like Dave Chappelle money and you can like rapidly test people before going in.
Yeah, rapidly test the audience.
Rapidly test the COVID. Yeah. I feel like that's what they did for Dave Chappelle in Austin, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. The tickets were really expensive, but when you got there, they like rapid tested you before you went in, and so it was like a whole part of the.
That's probably why the tickets were so expensive.
Well, it might have something to do
because it was Dave Chappelle. Yeah. I don't know.
And Joe Rogan, I think too, right? He was like the guest.
Yeah, he was the add-on.
Yeah. My friend,
add-on.
She is so funny. She's pregnant. She lives downtown as well. And she was just like power walking with 2 weights in her hands, like 7 months pregnant. And she's like, the most exciting thing happened to me in 7 months. I'm like, what? She's like, Dave Chappelle was walking down the street with a group of people, and I just heard him yell, "Damn, it feels good to be a gangster."
Yeah.
She was like, that was the highlight of like my year.
I mean, that's great. That's a great thing. Well, let's get to the questions, because we've got a couple of really great voicemails this week, I think, maybe. And that's our format. We listen to voicemails. Our customers call us and they ask us stuff. Sometimes it's ridiculous, and we do our best to answer them. And then we argue about it for like 10 to 12 minutes. So let's go to our first voicemail. I got 2 today. Are you guys ready? Are you ready?
So ready.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
I am turned up.
Here
I
we go.
believe that's it.
Hey, this is David Booth from Detroit, Michigan, and I have a question regarding if Paris or Nicole was really the one keeping the simple life.
Thanks for calling. I want to preface this question answer session by saying that I did share this voicemail with people ahead of time. I had to ask Kelsey what the hell this question even meant. I did not understand the question, and she said
I'm honored to answer that for you. Number one, shout out to my college friend David Booth for calling in, really carrying this podcast on the backs of my college friends, and I appreciate that, for him leaving such a detailed voicemail. But a little backstory here: if you don't know the opus of reality shows, basically where it started, with the classic The Simple Life, starring Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. First of all, just pause it, do a quick Google if you're not aware. I don't know if they want me to tell you that most episodes are free on YouTube. Don't know that that's legal, but it is great. Ran for 5 seasons. I would say seasons 1 through 3 were the strongest.
Those were on Fox. Then it went to E.
It went to the E network. Yes, thank you so much for supporting this. So honestly, if I were going to write a dissertation, when I write my dissertation about reality TV, it will be pretty much about this show. I think it's flawless in every way. But getting to the meat of the question, it's really pitting, our 2 beautiful women, 2 stars against each other. Was Paris Hilton or Nicole Richie keeping the more simple life? Therein lying the phrase.
I mean, but is this one of those, like, since we have the ability to fast forward, Kelsey, what are they doing now? I mean, what can we?
Where do you want to start?
They're living the complex life.
Yeah. A lot of factors have been added, namely trauma, a DJ career for one of them, children for one of them, married to a member of Good Charlotte. There's a lot that's happened. But the premise of the show, if you're not already aware, and this didn't uncover a memory for you, is that Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, in the heyday of the early 2000s, were wearing a lot of juicy tracksuits, coming up with catchphrases such as "That's hot." They had small dogs, and they decided.
Were they That's Hot? Was that them?
That's Paris Hilton. She has that trademark, so put some respect on her name. Yes, and they were basically transported to Middle America to, live amongst salt of the earth.
I'm just gonna time out real quick. Hey, LeAnn. So if That's Hot is trademarked, if you're on TV, like if you're like broadcasting this, like if you're like reporting the news somewhere and you're like, "Hey, that's hot," do you have to write a check to Paris Hilton? Like, how does that work?
I don't think anybody writes checks in 2020.
Do you have to Venmo Paris Hilton? I write checks. I write 4 checks a month because I'm a 95-year-old man.
I think Paris uses Cash App.
Oh, no, I just go to her OnlyFans. That's how she accepts payment.
Sweet. What's that? What's that for our listeners?
Like
Kelsey,
Patreon?
can you help me?
Yeah, it's just a very simple website wherein you input your payment information and you can just be close friends. It's kind of like close friends on Instagram stories. Again, I think our listeners know, but if you don't know, again, pause, quick Google OnlyFans. Maybe
unless you're driving.
Computer.
I think people listen to this while they're driving, so don't pause and Google unless you want to pull over. But
I think it's important enough to pull over, but that's on you.
Can we just determine there's 5 of us on here? Can we determine, like, Kelsey, you've seen The Simple Life. Have you seen every season, every episode?
I used to own it on DVD. It was really, I mean, the
You've
caller
owned
actually
everything we've ever talked about. You have owned on DVD.
Well, TV on DVD was a big thing for those of us, who wanted to rewatch when we didn't have streaming.
Like
Le-
I had like Star Wars on VHS. I don't understand what's happening right now.
You wouldn't
Okay.
understand. It's okay.
LeAnn,
Okay.
have you seen The Simple Life?
I have. It really was like the simple life back then. When you think this was what, like 2003, 4, 5.
Yeah.
I was like in high school, and I remember one of the things that they said on The Simple Bitch, they always said like, love you, bitch. Remember that? Like kind of a thing. And so I remember one time I was leaving the house and I said to my mom, love you, bitch. And she just paused and goes, back at you, bitch. Like she was very confused. Sorry, this is a podcast for children, but
Yeah, no, I'm totally gonna not click the for children button when I publish it.
And I assume your mom finished it with "Don't you know?"
yeah, don't you know? That's a good one, Daniel.
That's a good. Yeah, nobody from the north has ever heard that joke before. Okay, so Aaron, myself, Aaron, and Daniel have never seen the show. Like I watched.
That's not true. I watched 4 episodes last night.
Yes, I watched a
Aaron
few
did her
episodes.
homework.
I watched a few episodes on YouTube in preparation for this because this is a big part of my week talking about The Simple Life this week. Daniel, did you watch any of The Simple Life? Have you?
I can't do it, man. I started and I
don't blame you. I don't blame
I started hating myself way too much.
Well, here is the thing, because I get that. I was like texting with Kelsey about like what is The Simple Life, and she was like, "Oh my God, let me tell you." And she sent me the link to like you can watch all of it on YouTube for free. She sent me the link, and I started watching it, and like 12 minutes into the show, I just texted her back, "Thanks, I hate this." And
Did
then,
you get to the part where they were confused about what Walmart was?
yes,
If they
yes,
sell
they were like,
walls.
"What's Walmart? Is that where they sell walls?" And
It was chef's kiss, you guys. It was just it was a different time. Now celebrities are trying to be too relatable. They're all on Instagram. They all have causes. They have phone numbers where you can text them. They have OnlyFans now. Again, that's called a callback. But back in the day, celebrities existed in their own world. And the fact that they would come live among us, go to our Walmarts, work at our Sonics. Spoiler alert, they were.
Yeah, so I think the whole point of the not doing the reboot is that we could never recreate that same scenario because we're so connected, right? They could never do that again.
I want to say though that I got to a point where like 3 episodes in, I was enjoying the show. Like
they take a bit to warm up to, you're like, you're off the bat, you're like, I hate them, but then after a couple episodes, you're like, but I kind of like them.
Well, they
I think they call that Stockholm syndrome, dude.
Like this was
love your capture.
No, I think that it's important to note that this is like fully scripted reality TV, right? Like these situations are not completely organic. Like they started this show. I kind of went down the rabbit hole with like learning about how they started this show. This show was like they were going to put a sitcom in this slot. They were like, how do we do a better or a different version of a sitcom? And they were like, oh, like Paris Hilton came in for like casting and stuff, and then they were like, okay, we got the Paris character, and now like who's the other like celebrity going to be? And it wasn't like this all just, like this was a production, right? Like, and LeAnn, you're in, TV production. You know how all this stuff kind of works, kind of. I assume you know everything about TV.
I do. I'm just here to walk you through it.
Okay, so step one.
So when you were casting for John Cornyn, like how did that go? Did you have John come in? Did you like call his agent?
I was like, listen, I need to know for or against the wall. You do some screening questions, be like, I don't know if you're conservative enough. It's like a litmus test. Be like, I really need somebody to be a really big Trump guy.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Beto's really tall. I need somebody to balance him out. Yeah, I got you.
Exactly.
How tall is Jeff Beto? We haven't gotten that question yet.
Who is Jeff Beto?
Wait, what did I say?
Beto O'Rourke?
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know what the hell I'm
Call
talking
him
about.
Jeff.
I want to
6'3", 6'4".
I am going to leave that in though and show how ignorant I am about
I think you meant Jeff Bezos. Were you confusing
Maybe I was.
Congressman Beto O'Rourke with Amazon's founder?
That's possible. I am an idiot. Let's get back to
none of us going
I'm pretty sure the answer is Beto O'Rourke is living the simplest life.
Well,
he's in El Paso.
He's back in El Paso writing really weird Medium posts. Yeah.
He's just prepping for a 2024 run.
Yeah, there you go.
Around the block. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In the snow. So you can write a poem about it.
It might
Can
be
he-
snowing over there today, actually. There's
Can
a
he
winter
run?
weather advisory.
Can he run maybe with Jeff Bezos, or the ticket can be Bezos or Rourke?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, you've seen who's run.
I have. I've paid. I mean, you guys have not had much to do this year in the news world. There hasn't been much to talk about.
No.
It's been pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Okay, so I do want to say that I love Paris and Nicole Richie, and I was totally just like them in high school. But
Were you?
yeah,
You wear
Were
baby
you
fat
just
glasses?
like them?
I mean, minus like, I mean, I had much bigger fortune than they did, but you know, like that's
Obviously.
neither here nor there. My hot sauce fortune, but like, yeah, I don't know. I was a lot like them, and so the entertainment value was like, that was my life already. So I felt like it wasn't entertaining.
Well, I like the fact that like that most of the show is just the people in Altus, Arkansas, just looking on in like they're watching an exhibit at the zoo. Like, what is happening? And then like all the wives are just like angrily looking at their husbands. That's like every episode that I saw, it was like some wife or whatever in Altus just like watching their husband to see if he's gonna like check him out and just being angry about it. Like, I got a lot of that energy from that
Russell,
show.
I'm right here. Russell, I swear to goodness, you better keep your eyes averted.
You said you only watched 7 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like being there. Isn't that uncanny?
There was mostly like great attitudes towards them though. Like people were laughing at the whole pie scene, you know, when they brought the pies that were half eaten by the dogs or totally eaten by the dogs. And people were just like, I thought it was funny.
So if we're going to answer the question, who had the most simple life? I don't know. I think the whole point of the question was just for us to talk about the simple life. But
Good work, Dave.
We're
Good
dedicated.
work, Dave from Detroit.
We're dedicated to answering these questions. So who lived the simple life? Who lived the more simple life? Daniel, what do you think? With no, I mean, you got Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. I will say that like Nicole got booted from the show, didn't she? Like they had did they have a falling out or something? I was trying to read ahead. I did not watch the whole show, but like,
Okay, so season 1 takes place in Arkansas. Season 2 is a road trip where they go across America, and I think it's around season 3
interns.
they do
The intern season.
interns.
Okay.
And then season 4 they had a falling out. Now a lot of fans have speculated this was indeed scripted for the show, because whenever they you know, again, a lot of spoilers, but whenever they do reunite and have a fight, Paris says like, why were you a bad friend to me? And Nicole looks at her and says, how could you wear blue fur? So there was like a lot of drama about mostly outfit related, but they did reunite for season 5 where they went to camp. That was a good season.
But season 4, I was just reading like I was just reading like the outline of the season. I hadn't watched any of season 4.
I know
Season
I'm not
4
the
was
boss
like
of this podcast. I need us to stop talking about this.
Season 4 was like it was like a wife swapping season.
Yeah, it was called Till Death Do Us Part. Yeah.
Okay. And so
why do I know all of this? Maybe let's unpack this in a later podcast. Why do I have all this at the forefront of my mind?
LeAnn, as our honored guest, what was your favorite season of The Simple Life?
I honestly don't remember the specific seasons. I'm glad Kelsey is here to walk us through that. But
we're always glad Kelsey's here.
I know she's a treasure. She has lots of nice things in her apartment too. But what I would say is that you know, you see them going to Arkansas, right? And everybody from Arkansas is staring at them, but also Nicole and Paris are like, we're staring at you. I think the show in general is just like the other, right? Like you go into an unfamiliar place. Hey, they're shocked by you, you're shocked by them. And so I think it was just extreme, like Arkansas and Paris Hilton, that's going to be a big clash. And so that's fun, right? Seeing the difference, kind of.
It was fun. I had
fun. That was like a very like liberal arts answer. Like it's kind of like a trope on the classic Bildungsroman, you know, a bit of a coming of age story.
It's like Paris and Nikki are laughing at Arkansas, but the people there are laughing at them too. They're like, you're ridiculous. And I would totally unfriend you too with your blue fur.
I don't know the blue fur that we're talking about, but so let's poll, I guess, the people who have seen the most of the show. Kelsey, who would you think led the simple life, or like embodied the simple life the most of these two upstanding?
To tie a bow on the question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think depending on the season, it could change, but I think overall, based on like off the gate, I think Paris was the bigger star at the time. So I think she was living a more complicated life, trademarking, that's hot, probably took a lot of time. She had several chihuahuas to take care of. So she was a mother as well. Nicole, although she is the daughter of Lionel Richie, she's very
Not
upfront.
the daughter of Lionel Richie.
Right. The adoptive daughter of Lionel Richie. She just refers to him as Lionel. Love that. She was very upfront about her love of Taco Bell in season 1. And she also had, I would say I hope she doesn't hear this, but lower quality hair extensions. So, and they were a darker color. It was a look, but so I would say she was living a simpler life, just based on the budget that she was spending on herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say ultimately she's living the simpler life.
Okay, I'm glad that we're getting at the answer. LeAnn, what do you think of the two of them? Because I have a thought on it as well, but I want to weigh in maybe later.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything simple about Nicole Richie's life. I mean, sure, she had a lot of money, but there was like a stint in rehab, right? Didn't she eventually overcome drug abuse? I mean, I know she had some weight loss issues. Marrying a rock star, that's got to be tough. But now she's like a super chic mom with like a clothing line, I guess. And so
Harlow.
Yes. Yeah, I would say Nicole had it a bit rougher. Although Paris, I mean, it wasn't easy being famous for her either, I don't think. But I'm just, for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say Nicole Richie. We
got 2 votes for Nicole. I was going to say Nicole just because from what I saw, like, I don't know much about their lives, but from what I saw in the show, it kind of seemed like she was doing more of the cue taking, which might make her life a little simpler. I don't know.
She's just funny. Nicole's funny.
She's pretty you know what?
Like, I actually like her. They
are both kind of funny. Like, I was entertained by both of them. But I mean, Daniel, Aaron, do y'all have input on who had the simpler life?
No, like I said, that was like my friend group. Like, we were just as absurd, like kind of living in country Houston area, but also like trying to dress cute and wear heels in the mud. Like, what? Why do you do that? No. But I agree. I think Nicole Richie led the simpler life. And I only say that because I've only seen 4 episodes, but in those 4 episodes, there was a time when they stole money from someone, basically on their credit card, on their charge account. And, Nicole's response was to cry and try to get out of it. And Paris's response was, just have them charge it to my credit card. And I said, nope, that's not the simple life, right? You can't get out of it with money. You have to find another way.
You have to get out of it by crying.
Right.
Yeah. So, understood.
That was a thoughtful response.
My official answer.
So the answer is Nicole Richie. We like to come up with a black and white answer, and there it is. It's Nicole Richie. I'm glad that we did this. I feel like this really brought us all closer. We do have another question for this week, which I think could be more hotly debated than this one. Let's go to question number 2.
Merry Christmas, Yellowbird. You get to order one dish alone, from a Mexican restaurant to judge the quality, the entire quality, the whole experience of the Mexican restaurant. What dish do you order? Thank you.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Even though this will come out like at the end of January or something. Well, I like this question, and I've thought about this question a lot more than the simple life question. And I'm interested to see what everybody thinks. So we've got there's 5 of us here. I will say that none of us, as far as I know, are Hispanic. So you're getting sort of like gringo opinions of, what do we think means a Mexican restaurant is good. We have all levels of probably like experience through our lives with Mexican food. Daniel and I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, mostly. Well, you weren't born in Birmingham, but they have pretty shitty Mexican restaurants in Birmingham, Alabama.
Lots of cheese.
Yeah.
Lots of cheese.
So
on top
yeah,
of
just
everything,
lots of
yeah.
cheese and sour cream. LeAnn, I'm not sure what your experience like with Mexican food has been in like Minneapolis growing up
Well, I'm
there.
going to tell you, we had a restaurant. It's a fast food place called Taco John's. So they
Okay.
weren't even trying.
They didn't even, yeah.
They didn't even call it Taco Wands. We're like, it's Taco John's. And they have this thing called, they still do, it's actually low-key delicious. It's called the potato ole, which is basically just like a tater tot with some seasoning on it. And they're like, it's Mexican now.
Interesting. So we're definitely qualified.
Whenever you say ole, I think like you pour milk on it, like a ole. So I'm like,
I think Olay. No.
Daniel's got bad internet. Daniel's
Sounds
frozen.
awesome.
We're gonna.
But no, it's different. Okay.
But Kelsey and Aaron both grew up in the same part of Houston, right? Like north, like Humble
Thanks for
area.
being experts on the podcast. Of the
It's the least I can do. Yeah.
But you guys probably grew like I didn't have good Mexican food until I was in my 20s. You know, like
I'm so sorry.
yeah, I like people would say Mexican food, and I thought I thought of like Taco Bell or like the, you know, Pueblo whatever that you know just had like, oh, here's a enchilada. Like enchiladas, I feel like are the easiest thing to put it like a cheap Mexican restaurant and just like cover it with cheese and like sour cream and stuff and be like, here you go, it's Mexican food.
I mean, taco night at my house was just hard shell tacos and like some hamburger meat.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there were soft shell tacos until I was like 22.
Wait, did I say hard or soft?
You said hard.
Yes. Okay. Continue.
Okay.
I mean, no, we wouldn't even do soft shell. And that to me, like, I think when you think of authentic Mexican, somebody told me like, if you order a floured tortilla and you can feel on your fingers flour, it's authentic. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Hands are floury.
Yeah.
This is real.
Well, I'm not sure where, so like Aaron and Kelsey, you guys grew up eating pretty good Mexican food. Like because I lived in Houston for a little while and there's really good Mexican food in Houston.
Have you ever been to Mexico?
Well, Daniel lived in Mexico for a little while, so
you've got some experience. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have a lot to say about this because I worked for Hugo Ortega, who is like the chef of authentic Mexican food, hailing from Houston also. And I worked for him at Hugo's restaurant for a while. And my favorite thing to get there before I started work was their ceviche or their chile relleno, which was also amazing. And
well, so if you had to pick one thing, because I know I've been with you a lot of times at Mexican restaurants, you like to order the ceviche. Would ceviche be like your?
So they have they have amazing ceviche there, but they have a thing called, hold on. I'm actually looking at their menu right now because I wanted to remember what it was called because it was so good. It's another version of ceviche that is called pulpo al carbon.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, it's roasted octopus.
So good. Octopus, yeah. Amazing.
So what would be your go-to dish to say like?
At every Mexican place, ceviche, always.
Isn't ceviche South American though?
Is it?
I mean, I think that it can come from several different Spanish countries.
Oh, yeah. It's from all over, yeah.
Yeah. But it is definitely Mexican also.
People too lazy to cook their fish.
Yeah, dude. That was like
what is catching it not hard enough, George?
Yeah, you're right.
That was probably like what became one of my favorite breakfasts in Mexico was like a day-old tostada with some ceviche and like some kind of like fresh squeezed juice, like whatever it was. Like could have been a carrot juice, it could have been, you know, a pineapple juice, whatever, but it's like ceviche on a tostada with some juice, and like that is a 9 a.m. meal. It was killer.
I don't know if this makes me like a supreme gringo, but I do not trust ceviche. Like I just don't. I know the chemistry of like lime, you know, citrus juice plus raw fish equals the fish is kind of basically cooked, but I just don't trust it. It seems like magic, and I don't trust it.
In Guadalajara, I was eating it out of a dude's bucket on the street. Right, like this dude's scooping it out of a bucket in a street. So
you know, have like stomach of steel.
Yeah, dude, it was just good. I mean, yeah, like you're gonna get some funky food out of a cart eventually, but you get that here too.
Yeah, that's true. So. Whether it's cooked or whatever. So Aaron's answer would be ceviche, and that's maybe what I would have guessed. Kelsey, what do you probably came up eating real good Mexican food too. Like, what is your judge of a Mexican place?
Well, and here's my real caveat is that I would say I grew up eating Tex-Mex,
Okay,
which is
fair.
different than Mexican food in a lot of ways. Primarily, the cheese and sour cream, I will still hold a candle to that because Tex-Mex, we tend to like cheese and refried beans. My, very, very basic answer would just be chips and salsa, because I think that if I start the meal with an awesome chips and salsa, I have a lot of high hopes. I'm probably gonna eat too many of them and then not be able to finish my food. But I don't know if it's just a Houston thing or just a Tex-Mex thing, but I am a big sucker for if the salsa arrives warm.
Okay.
Like if a red salsa arrives warm, there's a restaurant in Houston called Papacitos that kind of like started that trend as far as like Houston in the 80s, 90s. And that takes me back to my childhood, but like a good red salsa and then a cold green salsa and thin, crispy, salty chips that are hot.
Yeah.
That's it for me. That's really it for me. I'm happy with anything else on the menu, but you kick it off strong. I'm in a good mood. That they're so hot and salty, then I want to order a margarita. It's just that's where I start. But then
you bring up a good point too. They have to have the house-made chips that are fresh and warm, and the house-made salsa. Like it's got to be that. Otherwise, I feel like it's a fail there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like any I was thinking about this. I feel like any question, like if you say like, okay, well, what is your thing that you judge an Italian restaurant by? Mine is like gnocchi. If they have good gnocchi, then but I think that the crux of that is that it's really easy to tell if the gnocchi is like frozen or pre-made. And so for me, it's like picking out something that you can tell pretty easily if it's like made there in the restaurant, or if they ordered it from like a food distributor or something.
And I think that
you can do that with salsa for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of where I fall on mine, because like it also depends on the kind of Mexican restaurant. Like, do they specialize in like Oaxacan cuisine, or like where I lived in Mexico in Guadalajara, like they were not known for good guacamole. Like they would tell you, hey, our guacamole sucks here, but if you go to Veracruz, it's fantastic. That kind of
why does it suck there?
It's just, again, like things they're regionally proud of. But like especially in the US, like if I go to a Mexican restaurant, like it's chilaquiles, because that's like universal. Like that is like the comfort hangover food like in the entire country of Mexico. And so, dude, if they've got good chips in there, a good egg, there's gonna be a chicken or some kind of protein in there, like how's that? And then it's just covered in enchilada sauce, like fresh sauce. And so like that's going to be for me kind of like what you were saying, George, like the thing I can tell, did they make this in the house? Like did they make their own sauce, or did they buy that from somebody else? Are these fresh tortillas, or are they crappy tortillas?
I feel like tortillas would be a good one too. Just like let's say just tortillas would be like, because fresh tortillas are easy to distinguish. Like LeAnn, you were saying, like if you get flour in your, like if you got a store-bought tortilla at a Mexican restaurant, right?
I remember when I moved to Texas, I didn't know the difference between a corn and flour tortilla. And that's when my friend had to dumb it down for me. He's like, is there flour on your hands? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's a flour tortilla. Thank you. But I would say for me, I think like Kelsey was saying, like the chips and salsa, or just like any sort of chips and dip. I don't know if queso's traditionally Mexican, but I just love a good queso. You guys are like, nope. Yep. No,
it's Tex-Mex though. I think queso though, I agree with you. I think queso is like, it could be wildly different. Like I unfortunately tried queso in Tennessee and I said, get away from me, not in my house. But I think queso and chips, right up there with chips and salsa.
I like a lighter colored yellow, and also like I think for any of the dips with the chips, there has to be a proper viscosity to it. I don't want it too thick. I don't want it too thin.
Oh my god, a thin queso.
No, a thin queso is yummy.
Like it's oh my gosh.
It's like Velveeta. It's like trying to like stir through mud. That's like way too
love
thick.
It. Oh my god, I love that.
You're like, in Alabama, we had like the best Velveeta cheese.
No, in Alabama, I feel like all the queso was like just watery. It was just super watery. And so like when I came to Texas and got I do think that it's also important to know the difference between like Tex-Mex and Mexican food.
Okay, well, I agree, but I have a quick just question for all of you. Okay, so if a Mexican restaurant has a bottle of Yellowbird as their sauce, is that a sign of authentic Mexican?
It must be fantastic. It's got to be the best.
Well, like I know that this podcast is not necessarily promoting our products. I mean, I think that every Mexican restaurant should carry Yellowbird as a condiment, but like if that's what if they're bringing you out like a pre-made product to put on your chips instead of like a house-made salsa, that's not like steer clear of that Mexican restaurant. Like if you're getting
like, wow, they're like,
yeah, if you're getting a pre-made thing, like I definitely want Mexican places to buy Yellowbird, but I also like just really love when you go to a place and they're like, here's our house-made like habanero sauce. Like that's, I mean, I certainly want them to buy our stuff. I have a conflict of interest, but I love a house-made sauce or salsa or whatever.
It's more like, yeah, if you wanted to like maybe have it as a secret ingredient or something, you know, with something else you were making. But yeah, I feel like I feel the same. Like I trust them more if I can see them back there making the tortillas and the chips and the salsa, it just feels more real. And that's why a lot of those places like Ninfa's and Hugo's, they have that open kitchen where you can see them making the tortilla.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ninfa's on Navigation. Like when I think of Mexican food.
Chapultepec is underrated. More people should go in Houston to Chapultepec. It's the best place it's so bad, but so good. Anyway.
What are your thoughts on them making the guacamole at the table?
Ooh, love it.
I love a table guac.
That's what Hugo's did with all the margaritas, the fresh drinks. They would like literally squeeze all of the, you know, citrus juice there, make everything in front of you. But yeah, I have a lot of love for Hugo's.
When I think about table guac, I think about the movie Office Space because I just imagine like it's like flair. It's like flair for the table. There's no need for them to make it at the table except for
the bare minimum or
yeah.
Brian has 37 pieces
with
of flair.
Mexican martinis though, also if you order one, it's actually like 3 drinks and you're like, wait, why am I drunk? I ordered 1 drink.
Well, isn't that why Trudy's will Trudy's will limit you to 2? You're like, you can't get any more than that.
Yeah, but you always like I've never ordered a Mexican martini where they didn't bring you the shaker. Like you always get the martini glass and then you get like a shaker with LeAnn, like 2 more drinks.
You're like, I'm a bartender now.
You get the sidecar. Yeah, I live in the movie Cocktail.
I'm just like, I just need more olives. I only order them because I want the green olives. And then I'm like, I didn't need the excess booze.
I'm curious for y'all too. Like, okay, so there's the dish that we eat to judge, all right, the Mexican restaurant by, but like, do you guys like cruise like the whole menu and say like, all right, if they don't have X, Y, or Z on the menu, then I can't be here. Like some people I've talked to, they're like, if there's no mole on there, I can't go there. Or like for me, if there's not like weird cuts of meat on there, like if they don't have like lengua tacos, if they don't have like, if they don't have tripa on there, I'm like, oh, no, this isn't a real Mexican restaurant.
My first instinct was to say like lengua or barbacoa or something because those meats are like, those meats are hard to cook. Menudo, they're hard to it's hard to like cook them well. So like if you do like, it's really easy to make gross lengua, you know, like I've tried it before and it is like a weird thing to cook. So like if they nail that, that's a good one. But I would say Kelsey said like awesome chips and salsa. I agree with that. Aaron, you said ceviche. I agree with that too.
I think it up and it's actually from Peru, but okay.
But
I just know that because I was in Peru and they're like, this is our dish. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You're like, I got you. What would it be? What would it be for you, Daniel? Would it be the like different cuts of meat or
no? If I'm going to order a dish to eat, like
chilaquiles. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For me, I would say I'm going to say like tortillas just to keep it really simple, because I think that's kind of that's a marker of a good Mexican restaurant.
I'll also judge their like veggie quesadillas though. One time I got one and it just had like carrots in it. I was like, what? Where's the black beans? Where's the mushrooms? Why is there just carrots in this?
What is your go-to? What would be your go-to, LeAnn, for a
veggie quesadilla?
Veggie quesadilla.
Because like we were to circle back to like the street meat aspect, if it's like a food truck or on the street, like I get creeped out about like meat from the street.
Meat from the street.
Veggie is the safe bet.
It sounds like you're naming an investigative journalism segment.
Meat from the street.
Yeah.
And they had slime in the ice machine.
Ew. Remember?
Ice machine, Marvin Zindler.
Yeah. So I think we've all got different opinions, but like the answer to that question is 5 different things. I think it'd be different for every every person probably have their own thing. But I think that what you're looking for, right, is like freshness and kind of like authenticity. Like that's what isn't that kind of what we're all looking for? We're looking for like, how do we know that somebody that we've got like a chef back there that we can trust our taste buds to?
I like how
There's a
you're breaking it
mariachi
down.
band, then we can trust him.
You're really breaking it down for us here, George. It's like a relationship. What we want is authenticity, and freshness. I'm trying
to because I think we're close to time, so I'm trying to bring it back together and give people like the moral of the story. Don't we do that? Do we do like a moral every week or no? I can't remember.
A Mexican restaurant is not a place to have a transaction. It's a place to start a relationship. Much like the Yellowbird podcast, which you can call into at 855-BIRD.
Nope, there's a whole 3 more numbers in there. I know it's not as easy as it looks, is it? Well, LeAnn, what does your 2021 have in store? It's right at the beginning. What's it look like for you?
I mean, I think that it's going to be great. I can't get any worse, right?
Yeah, it totally can. It certainly can.
What's your 2021 looking like? I have a lot of journaling to do, to be honest. So that's why I'm like, I don't know yet.
I appreciate journaling. Yeah.
I do a lot of reflection. Like people are like, what are you doing for New Year's Eve? I'm like, hopefully nothing. Like I'm going to watch Anderson Cooper. I'm going to like reflect. I'm going to journal what worked for me this year, what didn't work for me, what do I want to work for me.
I'm going to wash my hands and stay the hell away from you.
Vision board.
Vision board, yeah. I always say that I hate New Year's resolutions, but then I always make some. So,
what are you going to resolute to?
That's the way you say it.
I mean, I think that I've been thinking about that now. I mean, I obviously like trying to eat better is always like on the list.
All you eat is kale and chicken breasts. Like,
well, I always forget the big thing for me is that I always forget lunch. Like I always like skip lunch or eat something just convenient for lunch. And so like I always am trying to get better at like making my food ahead of time. And so I kind of always resolve to do better at that. I want to learn how to read piano music because I've played piano for 20 something years. And
Danielle, if you didn't do it during the pandemic of 2020, I don't know if you're ever gonna sit down.
Well, no, I mean, I just want to learn how to read the music so I can like play stuff from piano music. And I was talking with Aaron about this the other day. I was thinking about being more on social media. And I know that sounds like a weird thing, but like I kind of like the accountability aspect of social media in a certain way that like I don't really know how to fully form that idea, but something about social media. I don't know what it is.
Well, I'm trying to not seek outside validation as much. So maybe for me, it's staying off social media.
I think for a lot of people, it's staying off social media, but I don't really do much on social media except for write a smart ass thing on Twitter. Like
except like my tweets.
Yeah, that's it.
At Lauren Wallace.
LeAnn Wallace.
My wife is Lauren. I get a pass on that one.
It's okay, David.
Oh, boom, in your face.
Exactly.
Well,
nice
you know
work,
what?
Danielle.
That's our time for today. LeAnn, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so much fun.
I'm going to drop LeAnn's Twitter in the notes here. It's at LeAnn Wallace on Twitter. You should follow her. You should watch Spectrum News. She's funny. She's clever. She's entertaining. What a joy. If you're going to be on social media, if you got to be there, follow LeAnn Wallace. And don't forget to call the hotline, the Yellowbird Hotline, 855-700-BIRD. That's 855-700-BIRD. And we will answer your questions on the internet. Until next time, everybody, don't forget to hug your dogs, hug your cats, hug your parrots, and stay spicy out there. Bye-bye.